watching a kid who can't shoot fall in love with shooting threes. He's falling in love with shooting threes. For what? Why are you shooting so many threes when you can't shoot? Nobody's respecting your three-point ability. And why isn't JJ Redick snatching him out the game and giving him an earful and say, run for layups? Bronny is not getting treated like a normal rookie last year and a now second-year player.
After watching Bronny James' latest preseason performance, Kwame didn't just criticize, he tore apart the whole situation. He broke down Bronny, the Lakers, and the uncomfortable truths nobody wants to say out loud. And listen, this wasn't some hate rant. This wasn't trolling. Nah, this was a former #1 pick laying out basketball reality like it is. And it hit a nerve because so much of it actually made sense.
Those of you who whine and cry in the chat because somebody is saying something about a 21-year-old professional that y'all want to treat like a baby because of his daddy and his name, and y'all want to fake like this is about black power, when y'all have no problem destroying Anthony Bennett, Kwame Brown, Russell Westbrook, Oliver Candy, and anybody else not named LeBron and Bronny. So save all that somebody's hating, save all that somebody's jealous, save all that crap. This guy is a summer league player at best.
So let me ask you this. Is Kwame Brown crossing the line with his criticism, or is he the only one bold enough to say what everyone else is too scared to admit? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's get real about basketball.
What is Bronny going to do during the season? What position is he going to play? I just don't get it. This kid does not. Let's get into Bronny James and what I saw. What I saw is a kid that needs to get away from his father. I saw a kid that needs to get away from his father and actually be around young players and actually give it a real shot around people that's going to be able to judge him based on him being a young player.
Let's start with the most obvious issue, shot selection. Watching Bronny James on the court, you don't see a young player trying to simplify the game. No, you see someone forcing an identity that doesn't match his skill set. Wame's words were blunt but spot on. He's watching a kid who can't really shoot fall in love with shooting threes. That's not growth, that's confusion. When defenders aren't respecting your jumper, when they sag off, daring you to shoot, the worst thing you can do is keep chucking. And yet, that's exactly what Bronny keeps doing.
And Bronny, what I think your problem is psychological. Because you knew you weren't prepared for the league, and because of whatever pressure you want to claim that it's your daddy, it's not about his daddy. He plays well in summer league. He plays well in environments where he feels comfortable. He does not feel comfortable in the Lakers gym. All of a sudden, a kid that can shoot good in practice, that can shoot good in summer league, when he goes to LA, all of a sudden he can't hit the broadside of a barn. This is psychological with him.
Basketball has always been about knowing who you are as a player. If you're not a shooter, you don't play like one. You cut, run the floor, attack closeouts, and get easy baskets. But instead of simplifying the game, Bronny is settling. Pull-up threes, early clock threes, threes with defenders barely even reacting. That's not confidence, that's forcing it. And the frustration isn't just with the missed shots, it's the lack of awareness. If nobody respects your shot, why make it your main weapon?
I'm watching a kid that they say is a defensive specialist, and they run the simple handoff at the three-point line. This guy is not a shooter that he's guarding. The Suns is a horrible team, and I watched Bronny James chase the guy around the top of the three-point line, and the guy get a backdoor layup, and everybody looking at the other players, Aiden and everybody else, instead of saying, Bronny, you slide right through and meet him and do not go. If he stopped behind the pick, then we get Aiden or one of those bigs to get a hand up. But you go through the pick. You don't go around and let a guy get a layup. You don't be in help position at the nail when you got a shooter behind the three-point line and don't connect and everybody is there already. What are you doing? for people that are saying that he's a defensive specialist, how?
Then comes the coaching question, and this is where things start to feel real uncomfortable. Listen to this, because it's something a lot of people are thinking, but nobody wants to say out loud. Why isn't J.J. Redick pulling him from the game and lighting him up a little? Why isn't he being coached like every other young player who makes a mistake? And hold up, the answer isn't basketball, it's optics. Because Bronny James isn't treated like a normal rookie. He's not treated like a second-year developmental project either. He's treated like something fragile, like something you're not allowed to touch. And that's a problem, not just for the team, but for Bronny himself. Real development requires accountability. It requires being uncomfortable. It requires hearing, "You're not doing that again." But when your father is LeBron James, when your agent is Rich Paul, and when the entire organization knows one wrong move can turn into a media firestorm, coaching gets cautious. And cautious coaching doesn't develop players, it protects narratives.
You can't go all the way down to the free throw line with these pros. You can't do that. It's ball you man. You either one pass away, two passes away. If it ain't Kyle Korver or one of these catch lights out shooters, then you slide through and you trust that your big gonna get a hand up. So for those of you who whine and cry in the chat because somebody is saying something about a 21-year-old professional that y'all want to treat like a baby because of his daddy and his name, and y'all want to fake like this is about black power, when y'all have no problem destroying Anthony Bennett, Kwame Brown, Russell Westbrook, Oliver Candy, and anybody else not named LeBron and Bronny. So save all that somebody's hating, save all that somebody's jealous, save all that crap.
He made it clear that the backlash always follows the same tired pattern. Anytime someone criticizes Bronny, the whole conversation immediately shifts. Suddenly it's hate. Suddenly it's jealousy. Suddenly it's why you picking on a kid. But hold up. Bronny James is not a kid playing AAU ball. He's a 21-year-old professional athlete in the NBA. And here's the wild part. The same fan screaming foul over criticism had zero problem tearing down Anthony Bennett, Kwame Brown himself, Russell Westbrook, or any other player who struggled without LeBron James's last name attached.
12 shots for a kid that's not going to shoot like that in the game, that's terrible. Bronny James got to work on being able to hit an open shot, not dribbling the ball like he's some type of hot shot guard, because that's not what he's going to do when he's playing with the starters. When he's playing with the starters, if he ever plays with the starters, he's going to be an in the corner catch and shoot player or out at the wing catch and shoot player. I don't know why, because he can't seem to shoot, but what he needs to do is get away from his father, work on running the floor. You are young. Run for layups. If Bronny run for layups, then it would make the game easier for him. But for whatever reason, I guess because he's standing there and shoot threes with his daddy in practice all day, and there's nobody in the stands, so he's gonna make threes in practice. He ain't no goddamn 3D player.
That double standard is what really fuels this entire debate. You can't claim fairness while shielding one player from the same scrutiny everyone else has faced. Basketball has never been gentle, polite, or sentimental, and this argument was never emotional. It was consistent. If you're on the floor, you're accountable, period. That's why the stats set everything on fire. 1 for 12 in a preseason game, a setting where players are fighting for roster spots, and nobody gets gifted 12 shots unless the organization is trying to prove something. This wasn't chaos basketball. Bronny was featured. And when that many chances lead to that little production, serious questions follow. Kwame didn't frame Bronny's struggles as purely physical or skill-based, but psychological, and that diagnosis makes sense. Bronny looks more comfortable in summer league and controlled environments, but when the Lakers' lights come on and the cameras start rolling, the pressure of his last name clearly weighs heavier. Instead of being allowed to grow quietly, he's forced into the loudest spotlight in basketball. That's why the idea that he needs professional distance from his father stings, but rings true. Every player needs space to fail, to hear hard truths, and to be judged on merit alone. Space that simply doesn't exist within the Lakers' ecosystem. Every mistake is magnified, every critique politicized, and every coach hesitates before being fully honest. A rebuilding team with low expectations and real minutes could give Bronny room to develop an identity, but instead he's being pushed into a role that doesn't fit. A shooter who doesn't shoot well, and a defensive specialist whose film shows missed rotations, poor pick navigation, and lapses in awareness. This wasn't nitpicking, it was teaching. But teaching clashes with emotionally protected narratives, especially when legacy goals blur the line between development and optics. It's not classic nepotism, it's access, insulation, and privilege. Because other players don't get 12-shot auditions, don't get protected from criticism, and don't get the benefit of patience when they struggle. Don't get excuses reframed as patience, and that's exactly where resentment starts to grow. The trolls predictably showed up with accusations, personal attacks, and attempts to drag the conversation away from basketball. But that noise misses the point. This was never about attacking Bronny as a person. It was about responding to what's happening on the court, and that distinction matters. You can critique performance without wishing failure. Honest critique is often the most respectful thing you can give an athlete. The uncomfortable truth is this. If Bronny James didn't have his last name, this wouldn't even be a debate. He'd likely be in college, the G League, or overseas, developing quietly and learning who he is as a player. Instead, he's being rushed, exposed, and defended all at the same time, which is a toxic mix. The message wasn't doom, it was urgency. Time in the NBA isn't unlimited. Contracts expire, rosters turn over, narratives change, and when LeBron leaves, the protection leaves with him. At that point, production is the only language spoken. Bronny can still write his own story, but only if he's allowed to be honest about where he is right now. This isn't about hating on Bronny James. It's about questioning whether the environment around him is actually helping him, whether forcing moments beats building fundamentals, and whether protecting a legacy today is worth risking a career tomorrow. At its core, this situation isn't just about missed shots or rough preseason minutes. It's about what happens when expectations, legacy, and optics collide with real basketball development. Protection can be just as damaging as criticism, because when a player isn't allowed to fail honestly, be coached hard, or earn minutes the same way everyone else does, growth gets delayed. So the real question becomes simple. Does Bronny James get the space to develop away from the spotlight? Or does the Lakers organization keep forcing a story that the basketball hasn't caught up to yet?